Okay, I know that I say this literally every new year, that this year is going to be your year, but this time I mean it, and not in a motivational or spiritual sense. I literally have the scientific evidence based on psychology and neuroscience that is going to make this year different from every single other year that you have ever lived. And the first reason is neuroplasticity, which is the way that your brain can reorganize and rebuild itself based on what you repeat, what you focus on, and the emotional experience that you attach to anything that happens in your brain, in your imagination, or in the real world. And this has been backed up by years of science that became popularized in the 80s. And this means that your brain is constantly changing, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. Every repeated thought, every emotional reaction, and your habitual behavior will strengthen certain neural pathways and will weaken others. In simple terms, what you repeatedly think about, focus on, or emotionally attach to is what becomes your default, meaning that if you are constantly thinking negative thoughts, if you're constantly anxious or scared, you are strengthening those neural pathways that force you to feel that way. But at the other side of the spectrum, if you allow yourself to feel happy on a habitual level, if you allow yourself to feel more positive, because happiness is habitual, I always say that, then you are going to create new neural pathways that are going to strengthen those emotions regardless of what you are doing. And this is where people get stuck. So many people want change, but they keep rehearsing the same thing over and over again in their minds. They repeat the same worries, the same self-concepts, the same emotional reactions, and over time, those patterns become familiar, automatic, and neurologically efficient. And the brain prefers what's familiar, even if it's uncomfortable or unhelpful for you. And this is where intention setting comes in. And I know that seems abstract or spiritual and only for the Delulu girlies. Guilty! But psychologically, it is backed up that if you pay attention to something, then you become it. This works because it gives your brain a clear target to focus on. And attention is one of the most powerful forces in the nervous system. What you repeatedly bring attention to is what your brain is going to organize itself around, which is why we spiral when we start getting anxious, but you can also benefit from it. You can start spiraling about the good things in your life. By the way, if you want more information on this, Dr. Joe Dispenza's work delves into this on a neurological, scientific, psychological level, which explains this process clearly. He often describes how repeated thoughts and emotional states create neural networks that eventually cause you to become your habits. Your personality becomes predictable, and your life tends to reflect that predictability based on the way that your brain begins to restructure itself. But from this perspective, change does not come from willpower alone. It comes from interrupting the old patterns and repeatedly reinforcing new ones, especially when emotion is involved. And emotion is what signals importance to the brain. When intention is associated with emotional awareness, the brain pays attention and begins to rewire to reflect the way that it feels. And this is why your affirmations haven't been working, because simply repeating things does not make them true. Your brain does not believe it until you associate it with an emotion, with the fact that you deserve to feel good because you tell yourself that you are good enough. But this is also why change rarely comes from one dramatic breakthrough, the one thing you are waiting on from the universe to be brought to you on a silver platter that is going to change your life, because it's a matter of the little things adding up to restructure the way that your brain functions. And while those moments can be inspiring and give you the motivation to change the way that your brain is structured, lasting transformation does have to come from these small, repeated inputs over time to interrupt the way that your default thinking works. Consistency matters way more than intensity, because your life will not change even if something drastic happens, because your brain is not ready for it. It is going to fight against it as much as possible. But timing also matters. Right before sleep, your brain shifts into slower wave states. The nervous system calms, the analytical resistance lowers, and the subconscious becomes much more powerful and accessible. This is why repetition before sleep has such a strong impact on the way that you can transform your brain for the better. And the things that change your brain do not have to be real, because your nervous system cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined, meaning that what you imagine, the power of manifestation, the power of visualization, is going to allow your brain to restructure itself to feel uncomfortable in the comfort that it is built right here in the complacency that you are living in. In order to help you with this, I am releasing a meditation that is going to be a little bit on the shorter side, specifically to allow you to listen to it right before sleep. And it isn't going to be about reinforcing positivity or pretending that everything is fine. It is going to be about creating the consistent mental and emotional environment that supports clarity, safety, and intentional direction while your brain is most receptive. So if you felt stuck lately, like you keep repeating the same cycles over and over again and you don't have the excitement that you are striving for in this lifetime. I am by no means claiming that your life is going to magically transform overnight, although it can because everything's a matter of mindset and perspective, but I am saying that if you understand how your brain works and understanding how change truly happens within yourself, whether that be neurologically, emotionally, or behaviorally, you can use that to your advantage. So yes, this year can be your year. And not because you hope it is, although hope goes a long way, but because you're finally creating the proper internal conditions that make this change possible through intention setting, through rebuilding of neural pathways, and through working with your body, not against it.